Hello everyone, it's Angel from GemTCG here, and in today's video, I'll be talking about something that a lot of you guys have been commenting about, which is keeping track of inventory and how much you spend on the inventory, and then calculating profits and all of those basic inventory management systems that you guys have been asking about. And I want to share how I do it because based on how I've been reading these questions, it seems like you guys are doing it in a way that's not very efficient. So I want to clear that up, and also because when I first started doing this, my inventory management was very inefficient. So I feel like I have a lot to share on this topic. And also, if you need help starting and growing your eBay and TCG player stores, I have a Patreon with the link in the description. But let's get started with the video. So, the main question that I've been getting is how do you keep track of every single card that you buy and then calculate the profit when it sells? So, and then the other one is how do you price the card if you're buying the example the person gave was $100 collection with 100 cards in it. Do you calculate it as you paid $1 per card, or do you calculate it based on the market value? So I'll be answering the first question first, which is how I keep track of the cost per card and then the profit. So basically, when they're asking that, I'm assuming it's like they buy 100 cards, they put in 100 cards onto like a spreadsheet or something with the name, how much it cost them, did it sell yet, when was it bought, stuff like that, to just keep track of their inventory. And then I'm assuming when they sell it, they put in their profit after the fees and all that from eBay. And then I guess they could use those numbers and track how much profit they actually make. And the reason why this method is very wrong to do, and it's also the method I did when I began, so I'm not trying to hate or anything, but just being realistic, it's not efficient because when you get to a scale like mine or anyone else that has like thousands of cards listed, it will take you an extremely long amount of time to be making inventory spreadsheets for all of these cards, writing down the name of each card, how much it costs you, calculating that, tracking when it sells, and then tracking how much you got the money from after the fees. It's just way too much things to do. And especially like, let's say you bought a collection that was, 20 cards, and that's just small end. Like usually collections are 100 plus cards. But let's say you bought a 20 card collection and you write down every single card. And then, you know, 2 months down the line, you sell a few of those cards. Then you have to go into that eBay order, track how much you got from the fee reduced. Or like, so let's say it was you sold it for $10. After fees, you got maybe like seven, or it's fees and shipping, it's like seven. And then take that in, you have to write it onto the spreadsheet. And you don't even know how to calculate it because do you take off the shipping from that specific card, or do you take off the shipping from the order total? And there's so many complexities that come from this that I have realized when I did it. And another issue that comes into place is like, let's say you bought a base set Pikachu in January, and then you bought another one in March. If you sold one copy, which one do you track for that inventory? Like, do you track the first one or do you track the second one? How do you manage that? And the other issue is with this is that it's a lot of manual work, which means a lot of time gets invested into managing all of this. So if you're buying a 100 card lot, you then have to write down 100 cards, put in the price for 100 cards, and then do that every single time you buy a collection. Just for the sake of getting a profit number, it's not very worth it and efficient. So what I recommend to do is instead of keeping track of every single card that you buy, just keep track of the total collection that you buy and from who you bought it from. And then you could use any method to price your card. So let's say you're buying it at 70% market price. Assume fees and shipping is like 20 to 30% of the order. You're going to want to price it at least market price. What I recommend is like 30% above market price, but you can do anything around there. And then you'll know that, you're still profiting. And I actually have a video coming out on how exactly to price your cards. So that will be coming out probably tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And then this way, instead of having to go in and track every single card, especially when you're dealing with bulk, if you're doing this for bulk and you get thousands of cards, it's even more impossible to maintain. But yeah, my method or recommendation would be, let's say you bought a collection from this one person. Write down their name, how much you paid for that collection, and then keep track of like, did it arrive yet? So that way you know if someone, never shipped it to you, you could then open a case on PayPal or whatever. So do that. And then at the end of the month, or at least this is what I do, at the end of the month, I track all of my payouts from eBay and TCG Player, and then I do an expense report so I see, how much did I get paid from these platforms, and then how much did I spend on collections, and then all the other stuff like shipping, supplies, and stuff like that. Those are the big three, but then you keep track of all that, and then you still get a profit number that is accurate and doesn't take you, hours per week of just logging in inventory. And of course, if there was an automated way to do this, then it would be great. You could track specific profits on each card, but since it's mainly just manual work when you're doing this, you want it to be as simple as possible so that you could maintain it for the long run. And to answer that other question of, if you're buying $100 collection that has 100 cards in it, do you count it as each card costed you $1, or is there some other way? And to be honest, it does and it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you still spent $100. But if you had to be like peculiar about it, you would have to track the price as like the market price and then how much you paid based on that. So let's say it was 100 cards and you paid 70% market price. You didn't pay $1 per card. You paid 70% of what that card is worth. So that's how you would have to log it in. Still, I don't recommend doing this because of the time constraints and the effort that goes into it. And because another thing is, especially when you're first starting off, you want to be spending as much time into the business and like into making money with this, rather than putting in time to like random things that don't contribute to money or like making sales. Because you could spend hours, tracking your inventory, tracking how much views you get on a listing and all those random analytics. But at the end of the day, the only number that really matters is how much sales you're getting and then how much profit you're getting from those sales. Everything else is just like extra, to be honest. And you need to think bigger if you want to scale this, and you can't be thinking on a very small scale. Like tracking down to the single card is very small scale, but then if you track, how much you sold this month, how much profit you got this month, stuff like that, then you're thinking in a bigger picture, which will lead you to grow your business. Because if I can track how much I made in January and then see how much I made in, let's like April, and then I could see, did I make more money in April than I did in January? If I did, that's great. If not, what did I do wrong? Like, what could I have done better? Did I maybe spend less money on collections in April and that's why I got less money from sales? Like, you can ask those questions rather than just tracking, a single card and seeing how much profit you made from that single card, because that number doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And you don't get much insight from those numbers, because sure, you could take that one card and sell it for a few dollars profit, but that only matters if it's, replicable, and you could do it for thousands of cards or hundreds of cards. But that's about it for this video. I hope it makes sense. I don't want to like bash you guys because you guys are learning. So I don't mean this in any type of negative way. But in summary, you guys want to focus on doing things that make the most sales and spending the least amount of time with anything else. So the majority of your time should go into buying collections and then listing those cards, rather than tracking small things, because that will only hold you back and prevent you from growing your store. So my main thing that I want you guys to take away from this video is that, and just think more bigger scale when you're making like these decisions, because the results will show in the long run. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. And if you have anything else to share, like maybe how you guys keep track of your inventory and your profits and expenses, please feel free to share that down below, because it's really interesting to learn how everyone else does it. And I think we can all learn from each other, because I even have learned from you guys from the comments. So thank you all for sharing that. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all in the next video.